Hi everybody, my name's Eric from Beale Pottery, and today we're going to be going through some throwing basics. So I'm going to start right now. I'm going to start talking. Get that on there, get it going. All right, so every potter kind of develops their own style and their own set of techniques, and those techniques are the culmination of all the problems that they've encountered through their entire career. There's a lot of popularity right now, but there's a lot of gatekeepers going on. You go out, you watch videos, you see all these things, the do's and don'ts, but most of that is bullshit. The truth of the matter is people have been doing this for 16,000 years, and whatever works for you, works for you. And I'm going to show you what works for me, and we'll go from there. So when I start centering, I'm going to lock in, throw it 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock with the heel of my hand. I'm going to generate my force by traveling up my arm, locking into my hip. With my top hand, I am going to drape from 4 o'clock down using my karate chop part and pivot my wrist to get control. A lot of potters have trouble gaining height, and the first signs of trouble are normally those diagonal undulations that form on the bottom third of the pot. There's a couple of ways that we can get through this. I'm going to show you right now. So, compression. Clay that's not properly compressed won't stretch. So I'm going to start coning. As I cone, you're going to notice I lock in, squeeze, and go down. This is going to generate the force to raise this up. As I'm going up and down, you'll see that there's a wobble at the bottom of this cylinder. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep compressing this clay and running it up and down until that wobble is gone. Then we'll know that we have everything set up, ready to go. Homogenized clay. Still in there, I got a slight break. This clay was wedged yesterday, so it's a little bit dry, but I'm going to force right into it. Roll that clay. Think of it as sort of a convection current with the clay coming from the top, running down the sides, and as it gets to here, we're going to force that back underneath, allowing that clay to slide through your hands while still compressing it. In general, you won't be able to throw higher than you can cone. So on this one, I'll put a little bit of force into it. I'm going to work at 7 o'clock and 2 o'clock. I'm going to squeeze together, causing that clay to rise up through there. It's sort of like a tube of toothpaste. So as long as you take the lid off of that top, anywhere you squeeze, it's going to go up. No giggling at this point. At the beginning, most potters use too much effort. They're sweaty, they're sore, tired. The truth is, as long as your pressure is focused to the center from your left hand directly in and from your cap hand down to the center of the bat, it doesn't take that much pressure as long as it's consistent. You are like a boulder in a stream. No matter how much that water pushes against that boulder, it stays set. And in this situation, the stream is the clay, and you are the boulder. So I've got a good superficial center. I've got the inside compressed. I'm going to run it one more time to make sure I'm good. Then we'll start throwing. So what you don't want to do is jam your finger in there like you're drilling for oil. We're going to compress a funnel shape down into this and open from there. I like to keep plenty of water on here. I work through a sponge. So I'm going to depress a funnel shape down in here. I'm going to stop about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the wheel. I'm going to stop about 3/4 of an inch from the top of the wheel. Once I get here, I'm going to drop and just open this right up. So you'll hear a lot of other people talking about making the bottom 1/4 of an inch and all these other crazy things that you don't really have to worry about. In general, I found the best way to do this is to keep the bottom of your pot at least as wide as the thickness of your finished wall at that 90. So now I'm ready to compress and open just a little bit more. And I'm there. So once we got it centered and opened up, we compress that bottom. This is the shape that we're looking for. So flat bottom, thick walls, that's a good start. So now I'm open and I'm compressed, and I'm going to make my stack pass. So in real life, I would keep my hand on the inside to be sympathetic, providing less than 5% of resistance against there. But as a demonstration, I'm going to show you that you do not have to have your hand on the inside at all to stack the clay. Get to a slightly better speed, and here we go. Starting from the outside, I'm going to make kind of a Nike swoosh symbol, in and then up. I'm not thinning the wall out by compressing it. I'm just rolling it up to get into a strong shape. In general, your strong shapes are always a narrower top and a wider bottom. All right, so after our stack pass, you can see that we've moved everything in. My diameter is lessened. My walls are in that strong position that we can start lifting up from. What I'm gonna do is compress the clay on the outside, forming a ring. I'm gonna take my inside hand, push that ring up and over my outside finger. I'm gonna hold that set. I'm gonna pull through there. So as we're doing this, my outside hand will be lower than my inside hand. It will be slightly closer to me or upstream of my inside hand. So I'm gonna bite into this clay and I'm gonna make my first compression pull. Pretty much my fingers are lined up directly against each other. And here we go. Get a lot of mileage out of this guy. As I get to the top, I'm gonna stretch it nice and thin. You see my fingers are gonna come off together. Everything's looking good. Now when we start that pull, we're gonna have our fingers locked out here in, and then as I'm coming up, I'm gonna keep that compression, keep those fingers pretty close together as I'm making that next pull, or that first compression pull. With each consecutive pass, we're tightening up the bottom, thinning out the walls. You can see we're pretty much at our finished thickness now. So now I've got this top section good and thin. I'm gonna start working my tension pulls. With your tension pull, you're gonna have your inside hand above your outside hand and further downstream. And what's gonna happen, instead of compressing that clay and squeezing it between your fingers, you're gonna create this power S where you're sort of stretching the clay in this little line here to make it go up. And what happens then is that you're gonna gain that height without having that excess drag of squeezing the clay together. So you don't wanna slow the top down. The bottom's gonna spin no matter what. And you just kind of let it glide through your fingers so that you can gain that height. Here we go. So I'm going to bite in, lessen the diameter of the bottom. There's no rush right now. We're going to get it to where we need to be set. Then I'm going to push that inside hand up over top of the outside hand, and I'm going to start that stretch. When you get towards the top, you're gonna have to reconcile this throw. So in the last inch or so, I'm gonna catch my outside hand up, be back in my compression position, and come off of the piece together, both hands. Here we are, halfway through that pull. In reality, my outside finger will be slightly closer to me and stretching up as we go. I'm going to repeat that process. There's a lot of rules that you hear about, like you can only throw for height 3 times, you can only shape for so long. Most of that is just nonsense. I'm gonna go ahead, I've got all of this area is pretty well finished thickness, and I'm gonna stretch some more of this clay down here. So biting in from the outside, and then I'm going to put up and over, and here we go. Want to ease off that pressure as the clay gets thinner. As I get to the top, I want to reconcile my fingers so they're lined up together and up and through. So I'm pretty thin right now, but I still have a little bit of clay down here that I can squeeze out of. You can see my hand's a little bit too big to fit in here. What we're gonna do is make sure that I'm plenty of water. I got plenty of water here, plenty of water on my hands, and I'm going to distort this cylinder as I'm coming up, but my bottom hand is gonna lay everything back in line so that we don't have any major problems. I want to reconcile my fingers, so as we're getting near the top, we're going to get back to that compression position and right up through there. We've gone all the way through, tighten the bottom, good thickness, even walls. This is what we're looking for. The last little step would be trimming right down through here. All right, so I've got my cylinder pulled. I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit, clean it up just a little bit. And then after this, you would start shaping. So I'm going to take my knife, remove that little bit of extra clay. Slow it down a touch, straighten the sides. We'll open it up, see what we got. So I'm kind of fragile now, and I'm not going to be able to get my hand in there. I'm going to go ahead and use my sponge on a stick. Just straighten these walls out. Okay, so this started off as 1 pound 4 ounces of clay. It's approximately 8 inches tall right now. We'll see how thick it is. So not bad. All right, from here we're going to talk about shaping. Hope everybody enjoyed the video. Hope everybody learned something, but remember, it's just fun. Well, thanks for watching. If anybody has any questions, you can email me at eric@bealepottery.com and follow us on Instagram.